All right, welcome. Episode 16, 6/11/21, starting on page 54 of the Anarchist Handbook, organized by Michael Malice, the physical edition. You should get one of these. Anyway, 10 minutes a day of reading. Today it's cold reading. I didn't have a chance to pre-read. This is chapter 6, Josiah Warren, from True Civilization, An Immediate Necessity, and the Last Ground of Hope for Mankind, 1863. Again, we are starting near the top of page 54 with point 32. Here we go. If the solution herein presented should appear to require more steady manliness and consistent thought than such as commonly prevail, then capitalized instruction, drill, discipline are as necessary for the minds as for the bodies of our military forces. But even in this discipline, the principal labor will consist in keeping the mind's eye steadily upon two ideas, so simple as the right of sovereignty in every person and its judicious defense. 33. Experience drifts us against all theories of combination to refer everything to individual decision and action, and we cannot therefore safely dispense with an ever watchful discrimination and a strong self-government in every person in proportion to the magnitude of his or her sphere of action. Practical experience in this country in less than 1 year has driven us against the hopeful theory of democratic government under the dreaded government of military despotism, which is merely placing the deciding power in a few persons, and the persons and property of all the people at their disposal. While the Declaration of Independence and the instinct of self-preservation assert the absolute and, quote, inalienable right of everyone to control his own. Man-made powers are arrayed against nature's law, and that's all in all caps with an exclamation. I don't know if that was a thing back then, but it is in this essay. Here we have the fatal issue. What can be done? Are we again at the eve of a long night of desolation? Or is there some untried element in modern thought which can reconcile the seeming contradiction between instinct and experience? 34. Can it be possible that one simple thought found in our own Charter of Rights, if introduced into military discipline, would solve not this great problem only, but others of even greater magnitude? 35. A man cannot alienate his, quote, inalienable right of self-preservation or sovereignty by joining the military or any other combination. The assumption that this is possible has produced all our political confusion and violence, and will continue to produce just such fruits to the end of time, if the childish blunder is not exposed and corrected. 36. Admitting the indestructible right of sovereignty in every individual at all times and in all conditions, one will not attempt to govern, but only guide or lead another. But we shall trust to principle or purpose for a general and voluntary coincidence and cooperation. Military officers will then become directors or leaders, not commanders. Obedience will be all the more prompt because it is rendered for an object, the greatest that can inspire human action. Again, this next part is all caps. Resistance to all attempts at offensive and unnecessary governing or encroachments upon any persons or property whatsoever, as the great guarantee for the security of each and every individual. Then every man, woman, and child in the world is interested in acting for and with such a government. 37. Our problem is theoretically solved, but its brightness dazzles us, and its sublime magnitude bewilders. Let us take time. 38. Having one man as general over thousands arises from the natural necessity for individuality in the directing mind when numbers wish to move together. But it does not necessarily imply any superiority of judgment or motive in the director of a movement beyond those of the subordinates. Any more shall the driver of an omnibus is presumed to know the road better than the passengers. They may all know the road equally well, but if they all undertake to drive the horses, none of their purposes will be answered. And it would be equally ridiculous for the driver, under the plea of upholding subordination, to insist on carrying his passengers where they did not want to go, or refuse to let them get out when they want to secede. 39. The necessity for the prompt execution of the directions of the one lead or director, where numbers are acting together to attain an object in view, is so self-evident, or can be so easily explained, that where there is a walls of this promptness, it implies that the fault is in having a bad cause or unfit associates in a good one. 40. The most intelligent people always make the best subordinates in a good cause. And in our modern military, it will require more true manhood to make a good subordinate than it will to be a leader. For the leader may very easily give orders, but they take the responsibility of that only, while the subordinate takes the responsibility of executing them. And it will require the greatest and highest degree of manhood, of self-government, presence of mind, and real heroism to discriminate on the instant and to stand up individually before all the core and future criticisms, and assume alone the responsibility of dissent or obedience. His only support and strength would be in his consciousness of being more true to his professed mission than the order was, and in the assurance that he would be sustained by public opinion and sympathy as far as that mission was understood. 41. Subordinates have many times refused to fire on their fellow citizens in obedience to the mere wantonness of authority, or of the ferocity of a crude discipline, and have thus, like William Tell, entitled themselves to the lasting gratitude and affection of generations. 42. Men may lead, and men must execute, but intelligence, principle, must regulate. And that principle must be the prevention or repair of all unnecessary violence or wanton disturbance of persons or property. Again, that was all caps. If we are ever to have order or peace on earth. 43. Even children, when drilled and trained with this idea, which is simply the true democratic idea, would become an ever-ready police to protect each other and the gardens, fruits, and other property around them, instead of being, as they often are, the imps of disturbance and destruction. The height of their ambition being to play soger, S-O-G-E-R, and fight somebody or destroy something. 44. This is our fault. The democratic idea, theoretically at the base of American institutions, has never been introduced into our military discipline, nor into our courts, nor into our laws, and only in a caricatured and distorted shape into our political system, our commerce, our education, and public opinion. 45. Let this element be practically and consistently introduced, especially in the military department, and our country is saved. Otherwise, it is lost. Again, lost is capitalized. 46. When a high degree of intelligence, great manhood, self-government, close discrimination, real heroism, and gentle humanity are known to be necessary to membership in our military corps or government, these qualities will come into fashion and become the characteristics of the people, and to be thought destitute of them and unworthy of membership in the military would cause the greatest mortification, while to be known as a member in good standing would be an object sought as the highest honor. 47. Is all this in exact and scientific accordance with our first premise in the Declaration of Independence, or is it all a romantic dream? 48. If we have been correct in our reasonings, then we have found the clue to the true mission and form of government, to the most perfect yet harmless subordination, the reconciliation of obedience with freedom, to the cessation of all hostilities between parties and nations, to universal cooperation for universal preservation and security of persons and property. We have found a government literally in the people, of the people, for the people, a government that is the people, for men, women, and children can take some direct or indirect part in it, a ready police or army adapted to all demands for either a self-protecting party of the whole. 49. A union, not only on paper, but rooted in the heart, whose members, trained in the constant reverence for the inalienable right of sovereignty in every person, would be habituated to forbearance toward even wrong opinions and different educations and tastes, to patient endurance of irremediable injuries, and a self-governing deportment and gentleness of manner, and a prompt but careful resistance to wanton aggression wherever found, which would meet with a ready and an affectionate welcome in any part of the world. 50. Every intelligent person would wish to be a member or to contribute in some manlier to that great common cause. And we will wrap it up again, page 57, coming from chapter 6, Josiah Warren, True Civilization and Immediate Necessity and the Last Ground of Hope for Mankind, 1863. Again, coming out of the Anarchist Handbook, organized by Michael Malice. 10 minutes a day. See you soon.